Hello! Today's video is another advicey, vloggy kind of video about meetups, because I have gotten a lot of questions regarding pretty much every aspect of a meetup. So since I have been going to meetups for about 3 years and I've arranged most of them, I thought that I could share this information that I have. And this is actually my third time filming this video, because the first 2 times I always forgot something that I thought was important to mention and only noticed it while editing. So I made notes, guys. Maybe I'll get through this. Woo! But if you see me in a different outfit cropped in at one place, that's because I forgot to mention something that I mentioned in another attempt to film this. But anyway, let's start. And I've sectioned this video into 3 parts: planning, activities, and dress code. So let's start with planning. Let's say this is a meetup that you are arranging. So the first thing you want to consider is if the meet is strictly only for Lolita fashion, because Finland is a small country, so we have small cities and small towns. So if we were to hold Lolita only meets, there would be quite few participants, especially in smaller towns. So what we usually do is invite other J fashions also. So there's like Mori, Kyaru, Visual K, and all kinds of wonderful fashions like Decora that are kind of sister fashions to Lolita, but they're not Lolita. But we still welcome them, because then we have more than 3 people at our meets. But there are also, especially in Helsinki, Lolita only meets. So you want to consider if you live in a big town or a small town, if you want to be strictly Lolita or invite other fashions as well. And you want to state that clearly in your advert, and where you post it is another thing, because here in Finland we have a Finnish Lolita forum, though it is quite dead, but there might be one in your country that you want to consider, or the ever more popular place is Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, but a lot of Finnish meetups are arranged through Facebook, so that is one thing to look up if your local community or a community near you holds their meetups there. And there's EGL and all kinds of smaller forums, so you might want to dig around a little to see where you want to post it. And when you're arranging meetup, it is important to remember that you are the one arranging it. So if, for example, you're going to a cafe, it is your job to call the cafe and make a reservation. Or if you're going to some place that requires money in advance, for example, a classical music concert that would be quite lolly appropriate, then it is your job to either collect the money from participants beforehand or pay yourself, and then at the meetup or after it collect the money back. So your job. And also your job is making decisions, because if it's a more familiar community, it's easier to have kind of voting system or ask people where they want to go. But you can't just post a meetup like, hey, are you free this Sunday? Do you want to go somewhere? Would you like to suggest where we could go? I have no idea, because that's not very organized, and meetups are supposed to be at least a bit organized. So it is your job to book everything, pay if there is need to pay, and make the decisions. And sadly, not always everyone can come, so if you're asking kind of dates and times when people would be available, if a lot of people have different times when they could come, it is your job to decide which one of them, unless you do kind of voting thing. But anyways, I want to make a quick kind of interjection here that our community has under 10 Lolitas, and usually our meets are between 3 to 6 people because, like I said, not everyone can come, but I think that we are fortunate that we have both sweet and classic and gothic Lolitas, and we have people that have lived the old school age, like it was normal and not old school. And then we have people like me. I've been in Lolita fashion for about 3 years, and then there are really newcomers who only have 1 or 2 dresses, so we have a large variety of Lolitas. So even if you are new to Lolita, don't be afraid to go to a meetup or arrange a meetup, because the first time I arranged a meetup, I had been in Lolita for about 2 months, and I was just like, hey, let's hold a meetup! And people came and it was fun, and I met a lot of my local Lolitas there, so it was awesome. So please do not be afraid to go to meetups. But anyway, moving on to activities. I have collected a few here that could be Lolita appropriate, and we have a tea party, which is obvious, but also if you don't have a proper tea party place near you, or if you can't afford it, there are also cafes that, and you may want to choose a kind of cute one, but pretty much every cafe, and then you can just order drinks and talk. And we have a botanical garden or a park, and we had a lovely meetup at a botanical garden. Oh god, that's a hard word. And I'll post my meetups in my blog down below. I have a tag, so you can check those out. And museums and exhibits are also amazing. We went to see a dollhouse exhibit at a local museum, and that was cool. And movies and theater are also okay, but with those kind of activities where you can kind of chat during it, it's what we like to do is first meet up at a cafe for about 2 or 3 hours where we can kind of chat a bit freely, and then after that, with the people who want to go to a movie or a theater, then we can go there, because not everyone can afford a theater ticket, especially if there are a lot of students in your community, but that is one thing to think of. And concerts like classical music are also good, and picnics are fun, either in your house or at a park. If you're at a park, there is always weather conditions to think of, and you also have to think of the park itself. If it's like really popular among families with small kids, you are going to have kids going like, oh mom, there's a bunch of princesses there. I don't know what that accent was, but you have to be prepared for attention in a local or at a public place. As for meetups in your house, I would suggest this only if you kind of already know the people in your community and not like invite complete strangers in your house. And if you are holding a meetup at your house, only list the general area of where you live so that people kind of know where you are and if they can come there. And then when you have the participants, give them the street address. Do not give your street address online, because internet is full of creepy people, so don't do that. And if you're holding at your home, you also want to clearly state if you are making all the foods and drinks, or if you would like everyone to bring something small with them. So that's another important thing to think about. And same goes with birthday meets. I would suggest only your kind of close Lolita friends, and state clearly if you want presents or not, because this sounds a bit silly, but there is always a chance that you don't even expect to be gifted things, but then maybe someone gives you something and it doesn't have to be big, but that will make the other people feel bad because they didn't bring anything, or that can make the one person giving you things feel really awkward. Same goes with Christmas meets. Decide if you want to give gifts or not beforehand. And when it comes to activities that you kind of want to avoid, they would be a bit more physical activities, because Lolita is very impractical. And if you, for example, meet at a very easy to get public place and then from there go to where the actual meetup is, you want to state that and say how long the distance is, for example if someone comes from farther away, because if there is a lot of walking or physical activities, you want to state them clearly so that people can take that in consideration when they think about what they're going to wear. For example, we had a meetup at Turunlinna. It's a very old castle with very narrow steps, with kind of brick and mortar. And the first time I went there with my partner, I was wearing heels and a petticoat, so when I was walking down I couldn't see my feet, and that was kind of dangerous. So when we held a meetup there, I put in the post "do not wear heels," and then I explained why. So there's always take into consideration if you need to mention something a bit extra. My leg fell asleep. And last on our list is dress code, and the most important thing about the dress code is to inform people of it. For example, if it is only Lolita specific, or if you welcome other J fashions or something else depending on what kind of meet you're holding. And that also includes if there is a theme. Themed meets are very popular. Like for example an old school meet, wear red, wear black, or kind of animal prints. You name it, there are a bunch of different kind of themes that you can have. But you also want to consider your community. For example, if there are mostly newcomers to the fashion and they only have 3 dresses, there is a lot of smaller chance that they have an animal print than if they would have 20 dresses. So you also want to take your community in consideration when you're thinking about a theme, although themes can be a lot of fun, for example Halloween meets or Valentine's meets, so that it has some kind of hearts in it, or wear something that is your newest purchase, or wear something that you absolutely love, like your favorite piece, or something like that. So themes are a lot of fun, but again you have to be considerate to your local community. And you also want to think if it's a bit more of a formal thing or a casual thing. For example, if you're going to high tea at an expensive cafe and after that you're going to listen to some live classical music that tickets cost a ton, then maybe you want to pay a bit more attention to your outfit and wear something fancier, which does not mean that you would have to wear a wig or makeup or brand. Brand does not equal fancy. What I mean with fancy, I mean like you want to pay more attention, for example, how you do your hair and how you accessorize your outfit, what is the theme of your outfit. So it does not mean that you have to have brand to go to a fancy meet. It means attention to detail. Or if it's a casual meet, for example, our community is very close-knit. We WhatsApp each other cat photos and random shit, so we can be a bit like, hey, wanna come to my place and hang? Maybe wear Lolita, bring food and stuff. And that's a lot more casual. But again, depending on your community, and no matter how casual the meet is, always wear a petticoat. Because it really makes me sad when I see meetup photos and then there is some girl who's not wearing a petticoat, and then some mean person has circled her in red and written, "Horrible Ita, stay away from our community." And firstly, don't do that, because that's shit. We have small enough communities that we do not have the resources to hate on each other, and that is mean. Why would you do that? But also don't give those people fodder. And Lolita is about the silhouette and the shape, and you can't have that without the petticoat, so please wear a petticoat to a meetup. And that's kind of it about what I wanted to share, because I wanted to keep this a short video and not a major one. And again, I keep a blog which is written also in English, and I will put a link down below to a tag with all of the meetups that I have participated in, so that you can kind of see where we've gone, what we've done, with how many people, what have people dressed like, and you know, examples of Finnish meets. But I will not film our meets because firstly, we talk in Finnish, and usually we don't go to a fancy place. I mean, we went to a beautiful garden, and we just went to a dollhouse exhibit that would have been kind of cool to film in retrospect, but I usually don't even bring my big camera with me. So, and besides, not everyone wants to be on the internet, so I don't want to put that kind of pressure to my very casual community, so you won't see any filmed meetups or any videos of our meets, but if you are interested in them, I always make a blog post with some photos, so yay! The important thing is to have fun and make sure that everyone has fun. But again, we are only people, so there are probably in some meet at some point in your life going to be a person that you do not like, because even though we share the same fashion, that does not mean that we share other interests, or maybe the chemistry is just a bit off, and that's completely okay. You don't have to be friends with everyone. And if you go to a meet and you don't end up liking the people there, then just don't go to the next meet. It's that simple. And if you do meet someone that you personally do not like, that does not mean that you can go and post about it, because that's just mean. But anyway, that was it for my video. I tried to keep it short, even though I kind of rambled a bit. And make sure that you check the comments below, because I bet that a lot of people have different kind of suggestions for activities to go, or places to have your meetups, or things that I have forgotten in general, so make sure to check the comments below. And I hope this was informative, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask, or if you have any video requests, I try and do all of them, as this meetup video was one of them. And other than that, I will see you again next Wednesday. Bye!